I'll start with a topic which friends often ask about. We talk about dhammas as realities. And in the text in the Tipitaka, like the commentary, it refers to how the word dhamma is used in many contexts. So I'll just mention some of them. So the commentary says the word dhamma is found in the following senses: the scriptures, pariyatti, the Four Noble Truths, satcha, concentration, samadhi, wisdom, panya, nature, prakati, those endowed with a specific nature, sabhava, emptiness, sunyata, merit, punya, a disciplinary offense in the Vinaya, apati, the noble, neya, and it gives examples of how they're all used in these different contexts. And then there is a very old grammar that even gives more meanings, like one of them is panyati even. Do you have any comment on this?
So this is just the words about different aspects, that's all.
Words about different aspects of the teachings, so about...
And of the truth.
On the truth.
The absolute truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even when the word dhamma is used, as it says in the old grammar for panyati, it's actually still just pointing to the truths that the Buddha taught.
And the most important thing is, where is it? Otherwise, we're talking about what? If it's not there now, either. Anytime, what is there is real. That is the meaning of Dhamma, the absolute truth.
So even when they say, oh, it can refer to panyati, it's like in pariyatti, panya, actually, it's still, even though it's a concept, it's still pointing to the truth. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is pointing to realities, no matter what language is used or in what context. And when it refers to apati, the disciplinary offense in the Vinaya, but still it's referring to different akusala dhammas.
Right.
So it's referring to different dhammas, but in different contexts, using different words.
Especially, it's there now. Otherwise, nothing can be known at all.
No, but we still need that words to understand clearer about this moment.
With our word, can there be any understanding at all? So without Dhamma, there cannot be pariyatti.
So if it mentions that one meaning of Dhamma is panyati, still it's pointing to the realities, because all the Buddha's teaching is pointing to the realities. But there has to be the use of different words. There has to be the use of different rules in the Vinaya and so on. But still it's pointing to the truth of Dhammas.
Yeah, Dhamma. If it is anatta, it is Dhamma. If it's anatta, it's Dhamma. Otherwise, it's not.
Some are working and some are not. Hello, Tess. Now we're working. So could you explain a little what you mean by if it's anatta, it's a Dhamma?
Yeah, because it's a beautiful word, but it's a very deep meaning, and it is now, and that what makes it so beautiful, and what makes it so difficult, and makes it so deep, and that's why it's Dhamma. It's
how does, I thought that it was conditioned Dhammas that are anatta, but to turn that around and say if it's anatta, it's a conditioned Dhamma.
Yeah,
I find that
all Dhamma
I have difficulty grasping that concept.
Yeah, I think it's two words for the same reality. So if we call it anatta, it has to be Dhamma. It cannot be anything else. Must be the teachings, must be the reality which the Buddha taught us. Only the Buddha's teachings are anatta.
Perhaps another way of asking the question is, how does anatta, anicca, and dukkha relate to Dhamma? What are they to Dhamma? To Dhammas, small d. Do you know what they are?
I think, yeah, different words, but referring to the same, referring to the
well, they refer to Dhammas, but so these are the characteristics of Dhamma. All Dhammas have those three characteristics.
Right.
So the more we understand the nature of those three characteristics of Dhammas, the more we can understand at deeper levels what the Dhammas are.
Right.
We say that in order to know anatta, there must be known first what is a Dhamma, what the conditioned Dhammas are. Anatta cannot be known without knowing a conditioned Dhamma first.
Yeah, it's like the egg. What comes first, the egg or the egg?
Alberto, are you
That didn't come through. Ask again.
Panyati atta? Panyati atta?
Well, usually are atta, yeah. They usually are.
Is there any atta?
It's no atta. In truth, no atta.
In truth, there's no atta. So in this sense, even panyati is anatta because there's no atta at all.
But is panyati truth?
Panyati is not truth, but it cannot be atta because there's no atta.
You said that if it's true, it's anatta. And then you said panyati is not truth.
Any truth is anatta. Any panyati that is thought about cannot be atta. So in this sense, it can also be said it's anatta rather than atta.
It needs to be louder.
And it's now. It's not. It's now.
So never any atta to be found, no matter we're talking about dhammas or panyati or anything, no atta. And that is the meaning of anatta. No
But
atta to be
Panyati
found.
can relate to maybe can make know something which is not there, can make known the past, the future, can make known anything. So even what is taken to be truth but is not truth can be Panyati. Well, usually that's usually what Panyati is. What is not there, what is so basically it's not there. So it can be atta, anatta.
It's not there. And atta is not there, so it can never be atta. So in this sense,
it cannot be anything. Can be anything.
I'll let Ajahn.
Alberto,
Yes.
I think you may look at it this way, that I understand it can be very confusing since what we hear is all Dhammas are anatta and Panjatis is not Dhamma. So how can we say that it's anatta? However, we also know that when we say, for example, what is a table, we can think in terms of nama and rupa and say that a table is just rupa. So in that sense, the table being a rupa is therefore anatta.
If anyone hasn't heard about the terms at all, what is more interesting to understand what is there now or just the word? That's why if we forget about the terms that we have heard before and what is there now, can it be known whether it's real or not, and what is its nature? Because usually in a day, we have no idea about what is all around at all in a day. Even right now, if we know all our dhammas, beginning with what is real now, what is there seen, what is there heard, it's so real. It's a reality, different reality. That's why we learn to understand the truth of what is there, which we have no idea, no thought about it at all, of what is the truth of it. For example, right now, Dhamma, what is it? But what is there? Is it real? Is touching now real? Is seeing now real? Is thinking now real? So we talk about realities, and there's so many different realities. That's why we can use just one term, Dhamma, whatever is real. Why do we know that it's real? It has its characteristic appearing to be known, that it's there. For example, shall we talk about seeing now? Because seeing is real, not just the word, but the truth of it. It's there. But what is the absolute truth of it? It arises. Otherwise, they cannot be seen right now. It has a reason. No one has made it at all. It's there now, even while we are talking. There's thinking and sound, and also there's seeing, and that which is seen all around. What is real is Dhamma, and we have no understanding of its truth at all. That's why we begin to talk about the absolute truth, just one word at a time. So now, no matter where we are, on the street, at home, or anywhere, whatever is there is real. Each one is different dhammas, different ones. Is it true? So now, seeing now, not seeing yesterday or just a moment ago, but it's there now sees. How come? It's gone at moment of hearing. It hasn't been known before, that it's not there, permanent at all, just in split seconds. Is that true? And this is all about the truth of what is there. Dhamma. What is real is Dhamma. And there's so many dhammas. So it's not as I think I see at all. It's seeing, beginning to understand what is meant. And we use the word anatta. Usually it's I see. But after hearing or understanding the truth, where's the I? No one at all. Nothing can be taken for I when there is the understanding of the truth of that reality as it is. Hardness. It cannot be my finger or table or chair. The truth is that hardness is real at moment when it's touched, not at moment when it's seen. So we talk about realities from birth to death, from life to life, to understand the truth, that those realities usually are taken for something all the time, but in truth, nothing, because it's conditioned to arise and then fall away instantly. And that's the meaning of anatta, because atta is something and it's not anything. So anatta, because seeing sees, not I or he or she or my friend or anyone at all. Seeing has to be seen. Who can make seeing arise? Can we now? Nothing at all. That's why I learn to understand the truth of what is life from birth on to the moment of death, but what are in between these moments now, arising and falling away in split seconds. And this is real, so it's Dhamma. Whatever is real is Dhamma. Can it answer any terms about ayatana and anatta and so on? The truth cannot be changed at all. And that is Dhamma. And the Dhamma which arises and falls away are Sankhara Dhammas, because it can arise alone by itself. They cannot be seen without the eye base. And if nothing impinges on it, they cannot be seen either. That what is behind us cannot be seen because it does impinge on the eye base. That's all. Just learn to understand life from moment of birth to death and on after birth too. After death, there must be birth. To understand the absolute truth of anatta, not atta, not anyone or anything at all. It is just as it is. Hardness is hard. Sound is sound. Is this Dhamma? Is this anatta? Having more confidence of the truth of it, that it cannot be taken for anything permanent at all, only in split seconds and then gone. And that is Ariya Satya Dhamma. Dhamma, which is so true and it's so noble because it can eradicate kilesa, ignorance, and all conditioned Dhamma not to arise again. Who can stop the way it is? But learn to understand the truth. Until now, it's directly experienced. How great wisdom or understanding is at stage. Because it's real, it's now. But it has to be more and more understanding which can let go what is there as the whole, the table, the room, something, into just one reality, appearing and then disappears in split seconds. And that is not ignorance at all. because it can understand what is there as it is. If there's no word about it to be considered, whether it's true or not, how can there be moment of attending to the characteristic which now appears as seeing right now? It's gone, arising, falling away all the time, unknown. But the words of truth condition the moment of getting closer to now, here. It's there, the world. So when there is the understanding of the nature of reality, no doubt about the term for it, like anatta or Dhamma or sankhara or anicca, dukkha, anatta. So the understanding of the truth can condition moment of understand the word Buddha taught, not just to remember or to translate, but to understand the reality which is there, anytime, anyone, any reality, uncontrollable. That's why learn to understand Dhamma and anatta all the way to realize the truth. Not to believe, but to understand the truth, whether it's true or not, just for the sake of right understanding of what is there as it is, as much as there are conditions to understand it in this life, many levels of understanding. This is only the intellectual understanding about that which now arises and falls away instantly all the time. It's the atta.
No atta to be found at all. And this is why actually you made the comment to me before. No atta. And this is why you made the comment to me before that when there's thinking about panyati, actually, they're just the objects of thinking, not the realities, even if they're panyati about dhammas, but still no atta to be found. So it's in this sense, whatever we talk about is anatta. But when we talk about dhammas as anatta, it's not referring to panyati, but even the ideas are not atta. I think that was just the point. I have another question relating to the different meanings of dhammas, and this is something that has come up recently on DSG. We read in Dhammasangani about how there are just kusala, akusala, abhiyakata dhammas now. So whatever arises and falls away in life are just kusala, akusala, abhiyakata dhammas. And it mentions that these are sabhava. But we know that there are also asabhava dhammas like vachi vinyati, kaya vinyati, akaza. So some dhammas are asabhava, but it particularly mentions that the kusala, akusala, abhiyakata are sabhava. The first question is, why are the asabhava dhammas also not included? And the second question is, people say, oh, well, asabhava dhammas mean panyati, but panyati are not dhammas. Do you have any comments?
When we talk about sat power, it has its own characteristic. But when it's not sapower, sapower, not sapower, it means that it is the quality of that reality, like rupa, the four primary rupas. But what about the vikara rupa? It doesn't have its own, but it's there, the characteristic of that which has such rupa with it.
So in that case, when it mentions that kusala avyakata refers to sabhava, it actually means they refer to sabhava and the qualities of sabhava dhammas. So it includes the asabhava dhammas because, like the akasa, which separates the sabhava dhamma, for example, so it includes them as well. And when these friends mention that panyati are asabhava dhammas, I don't think it can be correct because they are not dhammas. But they mention they have read about panyati as asabhava dhammas, but I haven't come up.
What is the nature of panyati?
It's like
Asabhava.
I see it's asabhava, but can it be said to be asabhava dhamma?
Yeah, because it is real. It's there. It doesn't mean that there's no panyati at all.
Right.
But it is not that which has its own sabhava.
Right. So it is still asabhava dhamma.
Mm-hmm. Because Dhamma is anything which is real, but we have to understand the meaning of reality. It's real. In English, in Thai, it's real. But it does have its characteristics as sabhava.
That is like Bhakti Vinyati or Akasa are asabhava dhammas. But when it talks about when people mention that asabhava dhammas also include panyati, but panyati are not realities, even if they are pointing to the realities. So can they be referred to as asabhava dhammas?
If we understand the term Dhamma, absolute reality, we can understand that which follow, not just that which is sabhava. For example, hardness is hard, it's sabhava, but without any word about it, can it be known as it's a reality?
So it's a bit like in the definitions of dhammas, it is the panyati pointing to the realities that are called the asabhava dhammas.
Right.
So not just table or chair or any panyati, but specifically those that are making known the dhammas, the realities. That's helpful. Thank you.
And I think that if it's thinking, keep on thinking about this and that, how can there be the beginning of understand the truth of that which appears? Because the thought about other things covers up the truth all the time. It's there by ignorance and attachment. And when it appears, it is as it's taught, because it's so true. But if we try to know it beforehand, we cannot understand the way it is. But when the understanding is there, it's just the same as Buddha taught.
I think you said earlier that that Dhamma have different meanings in different contexts. And so there is a context in which Dhamma can include panyati. But when it means absolute reality, which can be known by its characteristic, of course, it wouldn't include panyati in that point.
So that's why it can be included in asabhava dhammas.
It means that it's not a reality.
Different from what we think of as like the asabhava rupas, because they are aspects of realities. So it's a different.
Thanachangkap, you just said you made the distinction between something being real and versus a reality. So what do you mean by that? It may be real, but not a real.
Kunsukin is asking about something you said earlier. You said that panyati are real, but they're not a reality, or something to that effect. So he's asking about that. Yeah.
Is it real? Like Dhamma?
Ask Kunsukin.
Like Dhamma?
Yeah.
Dhamma is Dhamma? Is it real?
That's a question for you, Sukin.
Chitta
Yes, I
is-
guess that's what Sarah was also saying, that
Can we say that it's just the words about Dhamma?
now I see it's what Sarah was saying, and I was not sure, because what Sarah was saying is that the concept that is about realities is what the texts say is asabhava, because they are concepts, they're real. If you say hardness is real, hardness, the word hardness is a concept, but it's a concept about a reality. So we can say hardness, which we use, even it's not the hardness that appears, that hardness is anatta. So Sarah, is that what was we?
Almost. So I think there are two different points. One was that at the beginning, Alberto was saying that only dhammas are anatta. So anatta means dhammas. And I was pointing out to him that actually there's no atta at all. So even if we're talking about table or chair, there's still no atta, no matter what is thought or understood. So whatever we're talking about, there is no atta. And the second point was that when the text, when the Abhidhamma says there are just kusala, akusala, avyakata dhammas arising and falling away, this is correct, because just kusala, akusala, and avyakata refer to all other dhammas, all other realities. So that's all there are in life, kusala, akusala, avyakata dhammas. And my question was about the dhammas, the realities that are asabhava dhammas, like vaci vinyati and vikara, vaci kaya vinyati, vaci vinyati, akasa, and the stages of rupas, for example. So are these not also included in the kusala, kusala, avyakata? And Ajahn was pointing out the reason that it mentions just sabhava is because these are sabhava dhammas, are qualities of the realities. So they're included. The stages of rupas are included in the rupas. The akasa delimits the realities that it separates. So they are all included. And in another context where asabhava dhammas refers to panyati, they're not sabhava dhammas, but they are pointing to realities. So if hardness is pointing to the reality of hardness, it's a concept that is thought about now, but it's pointing to Dhamma. So in this context, it's asabhava Dhamma. So these are all points that have come up quite a lot on DSG. But the main point is understanding what is real now, what can be known now, what is Dhamma at this moment.
So the concepts that are asabhava is, for example, hardness, but something like table would not be one of those, right?
So it's a bit like I mentioned in the beginning, all the different meanings of Dhamma. So when panyati is included, it is the panyati that points to the Buddha's teachings, like the apati, the offense, or the punya, the merit. It is the description of realities pointing to the truths. And one other question that came up recently that's related to this is that we read about, for example, in the Abhidhamma Sangaha, about the concepts being the shadows of realities, like the hardness that is mentioned now is the shadow of the reality that is experienced. Can we say all concepts are shadows of realities in this sense? Because without the realities, there wouldn't be any panyati at all. There wouldn't be any ideas. There wouldn't be any shadows. So any panyati, not just the ones mentioned, not just the ones relating to realities directly, but even table, chair, any panyati is a shadow of reality.
So let's talk just a little bit about concept. What is it? See? Yeah, concept. What is it? So what is it?
That which makes known. So
Yes, it's the object of thinking. For sure, 6 ways. No matter we use the term panyati or whatever, without thinking, can there be such object in words or in truth as reality? That's why the mind can experience everything, anything, by way of concept or reality. That's why when we talk about a glass or me or table, what is the truth? What is seen is only that which impinges on the eye base, not the whole. So when something is like the shadow of reality, which arises and falls away in split seconds, so very fast, and what is left to be known is only nimitta. That's why Buddha taught about Rupa nimitta, Vedana nimitta, Sanya nimitta, Sankhara nimitta, Vijnana nimitta. It means includes everything. It cannot be realized as one unit at all. Because seeing falls away. Can Panya realize the truth of seeing instantly? Impossible. It has to go on and on. So what now appears is just a shadow of that which has gone.
or we can say that the nimitta is like the shadow. So the shadow or the sign. So when it says that all panyati are shadows, it's like the same as saying all nimitta are shadows. Just
shadow of our dhammas.
So Sarah, now the question comes, the object of thinking during a dream. So would you say then that the thinking is the shadow at that time?
the reality, what is thought about, the signs, the details, the ideas are the shadows of realities, because if there hadn't been anything seen, hadn't been anything heard, there wouldn't be those dreams or shadows or ideas. So the thinking is not the shadow, but what is thought about is the shadow. Like now, Sukin on the screen, it's the shadow of countless realities that have arisen and fall away, the sign that is left and thought about.
But the sign, as we hear about nimitta, when the of nimitta, it seems because nimitta is actually the character of reality, but not just one, but many that arises one after the other. But in a dream, no nimitta of visible object, there's no nimitta of sound. So it must be a different.
there must be the nimitta of the realities in order for there to be the thinking about different ideas and stories. So even though the seeing and hearing, it's countless moments of seeing and hearing have fallen away long ago, but still there are the signs of what was experienced and the thinking about the ideas and stories. So there's still the shadows of what was experienced through the sense doors.
One thing I want to say that there are different kind of nimitta. When we saying that the nimitta of many dhamma, like nimitta of seeing and all that, that is the shadow or sign of reality. But then there is another meaning that this concept, because they have many a shadow of other reality.
That what we've discussed, because what it says in the text, and which Ajahn has confirmed, is any panyati. Oh, thank you for turning on your camera. It helps us a lot if you all turn on your cameras at home. Any panyati are shadows, because they're not the realities. They're the shadows of what is seen and heard, and so on.
Without reality, can there be any nimitta?
No.
Or what appears at moment of seeing?
Can you keep your camera on? It would be helpful. Are you there, Haji?
No nimitta of Haji now.
Right.
Now, nimitta of
Keep your camera on, so Jan's asking you some questions.
Yes. But
nimitta of Haji, but nimitta of something there.
okay, yes.
Can we say that usually the nimitta is the object of panya, and panyati is the object of ignorance?
That is nimitta right now, right? Learn to understand the truth that without Paramadadhamma, there cannot be any nimitta at all. But what about just a reality? So very tiny, so short, it cannot appear, because the succession of the arising and falling away by way of processes condition the shape and form and what appears now as nimitta. Of Alberto?
Not sure whether you were asking that if there's only nimitta if there's panya, because I didn't think so. That would mean that nimitta only occurs when there's panya, but that couldn't be right, could it? But it's, I think, correct to say that nimitta can only be known by panya.
Subtlety of reality. And the term has to be so subtle too. We have to consider again and again, no matter we're talking about the nimitta or concept, in truth, what is it? Otherwise, they must be clinging to the idea of something all the time. I am thinking, nimitta of thinking.
I think Alberto's having a bit of jet lag nimitta.
Alberto, it's I mean, it's a given that all dhammas, be it kusla, akusla dhamma,
Understanding reality just a little clearer can lead to more understanding of the subtlety of what is there now. How long will it take to get rid of the nimitta of something and understand that it's only nimitta? Because we think that nimitta is so real. This is kunjunatan for sure. What about Dhamma, Nama, and Rupa, and so on?
ขอพูดนิดนึงไม่กับป๊าป๊า
What do we mean by getting rid of nimitta?
Understand the truth that it's nimitta.
So we could also say it's finding nimitta, really, because nimitta is not known now, but when understanding develops, it knows nimitta.
And
So-
it's gone.
And it's gone. It's found and gone.
So Ajahn, the understanding as a level of direct understanding about the nimitta or
How many degrees of being so direct?
many degrees?
I think I heard
I think
John
it
once
would have to
comment.
be direct understanding. Would have to be the understanding that comes from direct understanding. For example, we read that things like the revulsion and liberation, which are wholesome mental states, they are only occur for the person of highly developed understanding, and also the knowledge of the nimittas. It needs highly developed understanding. So it doesn't matter whether we say it's direct or it's known, but it's from direct understanding that it becomes known, put it that way.
John, I remember once hearing you talk about the same thing and suggesting that it's
Can there be
vipassana yana.
understanding of nimitta without understanding reality? What is nimitta if there is no reality?
I mean that in samatha bhavana they also understand about the nimitta, but not nimitta of reality, right?
Even so, without reality, there's no nimitta, even if it's color as the nimitta, the object, still it is color, it is the nimitta of reality, even if there's no understanding of reality.
Yeah.
So even for those who've never come across the Buddha's teaching, is still the experiencing of nimitta of realities, and there cannot be understanding of nimitta without understanding nimitta of reality. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's why those who just have nimittas as object in the development of samatha bhavana cannot understand the truth unless there is the understanding of realities of dhammas in order to understand the nimitta of reality.
I think the nimitta that's referred to in samatha, like the kasina, for example, has to be a particular context, because if we say that nimitta is understood in samatha, what is understood about the nimitta in samatha? Nothing to do with the nature of reality, is it? It's just to do with like contemplating the nimitta as representing certain things, but nothing to do with true nature of reality.
Ajahn, you were talking about nothing to be done last time. I've been thinking about it, and I just been thinking about like doing, like in doing, like is doing means karma, means deeds, means something with intentional. Because I think the literal translation of karma is actually doing. So I think it's also pointing out to the cetana, which is karma, which is also karma, is not an important, it's not relevant to the development of understanding. It's not really something to have intention to study or to listen, because no need to do anything in that sense. I think that's helpful. Thank you, John.
Can anything be done?
Well, I thought
it's there already.
It's already okay. Yeah.
Even thinking. What else? Or are they by conditions?
Even karma, because it's just chaitana, moments of chaitana. So it's already conditioned. No one can do karma. No one can do chaitana. No one can make a particular chaitana arise now. So whatever the word or the translation, actually, they're just conditioned dhammas. Karma is nothing more than particular kinds of chaitana.
Yeah, by conditions means by conditions. So it's it means like conditions can also be that listening is the condition for instance, for developing understanding. Listening is a condition.
Can anyone listen, or can anyone do listening?
No, I'm saying it's the condition for understanding is
in reality, what is listening?
Reality. It's a reality. Yeah.
What reality?
I think we are talking about realities, right? We are not talking about.
In truth, is there anything except realities? So when we talk about listening, it's just a shorthand. But what are the realities?
Many realities.
Hearing, thinking,
yeah,
vitaka, vichara, and so on. Sanya, panya, all these different realities. Can anyone do sanya or vitaka or citta? They're just different realities arising by conditions. So when the Buddha said, oh, wise attention is a condition, it's just referring to moments of kusala manasikara that arise with panya by conditions, not something to be done. Listening doesn't mean spending 2 hours at the foundation or turning on the recording. It's pointing to the nature of particular kusala dhammas, which by conditions lead to the development of panya. So whatever we consider or read about is pointing to dhammas.
Yeah,
Nothing to be done.
Yeah, we all agree. Yeah.
Otherwise, there's always the idea, okay, all dhammas are nata, but still we should listen, or still we should do this or that. But even the listening, even the considering, the meeting the wise friend, they're just different dhammas that arise by conditions, not anything that I do. I don't go somewhere to meet the wise friend. They're just moments of thinking with panya, thinking with no panya, thinking with attachment, just different realities, seeing, hearing, visible object that's seen, sound that's heard.
Can I also add that I think it's hearing the Dhamma that is said to be the condition, not listening. And there's a difference, because one can come here and listen, but it depends what is said, and is what is said meaningful for the particular individual? Does it explain something that hasn't been heard or understood properly, for example? And that depends on conditions, on past karma, for example, and things. Of course, if one wasn't paying attention, then it would be missed. But the fact is that it's the hearing of the Dhamma rather than the listening to whatever that is the condition. Hearing words of Dhamma explained, or hearing the Dhamma explained in a way that's meaningful for us, that's the condition.
Yeah, interesting. So the hearing is also requires the speaker. I mean, the speaking and the hearing. To be the hearing, there must be the voice. And I think this is the condition is the voice of another. Hearing
That's
the voice
correct.
of another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it could be by reading. It doesn't have to be actually through sound, the medium of sound. It could be through seeing. Reading, that's also counts as listening, but
I think it's very
it has to be information communicated from another.
In the Tipitaka, it says actually Parato Gozo, which is the voice of another. It's very specific, I think. Yeah.
Well,
Anything to be done to hear the voice of another?
Well, you need to have done the karma. You need to have done the karma in the past, which will condition
You
the hearing
need to
now.
have done. You need to have done.
It needs to have been done.
So
My English is not as good as that.
That karma was conditioned. The vipaka, the seeing or the hearing now, is conditioned. The wise considering about what is heard, what is seen, is conditioned. The panya that arises as a result is conditioned. So whatever we're talking about, whatever language, is just about dhammas, nothing to be done.
Yeah, we are. So there is the moment of which is result, and there is also the moment which is cause right now.
So the result is conditioned, the cause is conditioned. Still, nothing is done because.
But they're not the same; they're different.
Different dhammas, but each one conditioned.
So if the reflection now is kusala, then it can be a condition for hearing the Dhamma in the future. But who knows whether it's kusala or not? I mean, that can't be engineered, can it?
The future can be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be. The future can be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be in next life or next moment.
I think Carmen is waving her hand. Are you trying to say something, Carmen?
No, I'm listening. Thank you. I cannot hear you.
We can't hear you.
Oh,
Try once more.
do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, good, good, good. No, I don't have a question. Thank you. I'm just listening. And I'm happy to see everybody.
And waving on your screen. Like to ask anything? Alan, would you like to bring up that intricate detail you were asking me about, or anything else?
Hi, Sarah. Yes, it was just it was one of your posts, wasn't it? The 4 spiritual powers. And one of those you mentioned as cheetah. So I was just wondering how that could be a spiritual power.
Referring to the Iddhipadas, the Iddhipadas of Chanda, interest, Chitta, Virya, of effort or patience, and Vimamsa, which is Panya, understanding. And his question is how Chitta can be an Pada.
In short, without Chitta, can there be Iddhipada?
No.
See, but the Iddhi, what is it? What is Iddhi and what is Pada? Iddhipada, now or not now?
It's now. It must be now. Yes.
To be akusala or to what? Pada.
It must be kusala. Must be wholesome. Then it's a power when it's wholesome. Yes.
To where?
To condition the listening, for example.
To understand the truth. It is the Dhamma, not just working for this and that to be done and so on. Pada, the base to become enlightened. Iddhi.
So is that so it's not just wholesome, it's not just kusala, but it's kusala connected with the reality of the present moment.
That's why we talk about the Dhamma, the factors for enlightenment. How many? The 4 Iddhipada. Without the 4 Iddhipada, it's impossible to develop our understanding.
So what particular is it about the chitta which is that condition for or a factor of enlightenment?
Because chitta can arise with akusala or kusala at level of pariyati, but without chanda for enlighten the truth, how can there be the enlightenment?
Yes, because everybody has wholesome chitta, but not everybody is on the path to enlightenment. So we can say that that chitta is it's the root which accompanies the chitta, which makes it a factor of enlightenment.
Because the other Iddhipada cannot arise alone. And what kind of chitta is there? It's not just any kind of kusala, but it's the kusala with chanda to enlighten the truth.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Like now, there may be many kinds of wholesome and unwholesome chanda, and there may be wholesome chanda to give a donation or to help people in need. But it has to be the chanda with panya that is really interested to understand more about the truth now in order for it to become a Bodhipakya Dhamma, not just any wholesome chanda. And the citta has to be the citta, which is accompanied by the understanding of realities, the panya, which not just any panya, but the understanding of the truth and the interest in the truth and the virya connected with the development of the path. Because to come and listen when one's tired or sick takes great virya, great patience. So it's particular virya, particular kind of patience that is required. So it's the citta with the wholesome roots connected with the path, because the citta is the leader.
So now, is it part of Itipada? There is.
It's not easy to. It cannot be pinpointed.
Little by little.
Little by little, yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here if there wasn't some idiom. Yes, it must condition such interest. It must be there, but it doesn't appear as just a reality, because that moment is just a conditioned moment. So the confidence in the Buddha comes from understanding his word. Just that, really. Would you say that to have confidence, to have interest in Buddhism, it just comes from the Buddhist, from understanding what he taught?
The truth is so very subtle. That's why it needs our practice of enlightenment to develop gradually, little by little.
The word Abhi, as in Abhidharma, you translate it as subtle, but it can also mean higher Dharma, can't it? Or Dharma which is difficult. I'm just wondering what the word Abhi means as from Abhidharma, because Abhi is used in other words as well, isn't it? So it's subtle Dharma, but it's also, we call it higher Dharma.
Is it easy to understand the hardness now arising and falling away?
No.
The even hardness is Abhidhamma.
Yes, yes. Okay. But is it right to translate Abhi as higher Dharma?
I think that the most important thing is understanding the truth, not just the word.
Yes.
Because there are many levels of understanding the truth. From the very beginning, satya, be truthful to the truth, to the end.
Alan, I'm wondering if in asking this question, you have some idea about a Dharma that's not Abhi?
Can you say that again? Sorry?
No. You're saying the Abhidhamma means higher truth. Is that what you said?
Yes. I mean, I've seen it. I think Nina, in her book Abhidharma in Daily Life, translates it as higher Dharma, or even Dharma in detail.
Yeah.
Which
so
I think
the
is
question
the same
is
meaning, really.
So is the question arises, is that Dharma that's not Abhidhamma, not higher?
No, you're right. Everything is Abhidharma. It's just that the word Dharma has many different, it's used in many different contexts. And it doesn't always refer to an absolute reality, the word Dharma, whereas Abhidharma is a bit more specific. It's about an absolute reality. So Dharma doesn't always refer to the word seeing, for example, to the reality of seeing and hearing. It can also mean other things like the teachings of the Buddha or something like that. So Abhi is much more specific about a reality with its own characteristic. And the same with Paramatta Dhamma, which is even more specific, it would seem to me, that just refers to a reality. But as you say, all Paramatta Dhammas are Dhammas, yes.
But for that purpose, I think absolute, as you use it, is fine. I mean, I don't think higher helps, right? I think absolute is fine for Abhidhamma means absolute realities.
Yes, but the word is I'm just there are other words with the Abhi as a prefix, aren't there? I'm just wondering. I can't think of any offhand, but
when you mention about the other words for Dharma, this is like the point at the beginning of the discussion. But even when it refers to the scriptures or the teachings, it's pointing to the Dhammas. So whether we call them Dhammas or Paramatta Dhammas or Abhidhammas, and in English, whether we say absolute or higher or subtle, it's all pointing to the nature of Dhammas. So Dhamma, like hardness, it's deep, it's subtle. So higher and subtle and deeper and absolute, it's all the same. And absolute just makes it clear. Nothing else at all, only Dhammas that arise and fall away in life.
yes, yeah.
I mean, it's useless to just hear the word Dhamma or Paramatta Dhamma and all that. If when Panya arises, the main point is understanding. Panya don't interest in word, but understanding the truth.
Is that
Yes,
which means high or high Dhamma? Is there any word?
yeah, Abhidhamma.
It's subtle.
Yes. Okay. And difficult to penetrate the characteristic.
Supreme, greatest, no one can change it. That's the meaning
Yes.
of Dhamma, which is anatta. No matter what
Yes.
we use.
This is what Dhamma is referring to. So these other words are used to stress the nature of Dhamma. What is Dhamma is subtle and it is absolute reality. And this is what the scriptures are referring to. Whatever we read is about Dhammas that are Abhidhamma or Paramatta
Yes.
Dhamma.
So we're just using, as you said earlier on, we're using different words to point out realities, whether it's Dharma or Abhidhamma or Paramatta Dhamma or just reality. We're just using Panyati concepts to point out the realities in order to understand those realities, not just thinking about them.
They're very subtle and deep, not easy to understand at all.
Yes, yeah.
I just want to point out to those at home like Carmen that we don't have computer screens, so we can't read any messages and we can't reply to any messages. So anyone else can, but we can't. So was there something, Carmen?
I just asked the question, what is Idapada? Because I didn't read the note on the DSG, and Azita told me how to write it, so now I can look for it. So thank you.
Yes, I think Alan asked me a question off list, so maybe Alan, you can put your question on list, then people know what you're talking about. And While you're there, Carmen, I wanted to just mention, bring up another topic that you brought up before, which relates a little bit to the topic of Alberto's of Dhammas, because you mentioned that, you've mentioned several times that going on a retreat, going to a meditation center, coming here, listening to Ajahn, what's the difference? So I think the point is, what is the purpose? What is the interest? What kind of chanda is there? Because if the purpose is to get something for oneself, if one's aim is to understand the details in order to be knowledgeable, or in order to have more understanding, or to have more awareness, which may be the purpose for some people, this is still just for the clinging to oneself, just to have more understanding or awareness for oneself. But the true purpose is to understand just for the benefit of, just for the sake of understanding. So if I come here, I don't think about, if I come here, there will be more awareness or I will have more understanding. I don't think like that at all. I just listen because of the interest in listening, in understanding. So there's a distinction between trying to do something to have more awareness or understanding and just seeing the benefit in understanding for itself.
But isn't that point, but I'm repeating, but that's the same for whatever you do, right? Whatever I do, if I go, if I do the dishes, if I pet my cat, he's not, if I listen to Ajahn, if I sit down on a cushion, it is all about my if there is greed, there is greed. If it doesn't matter what I'm doing, if it's conditioned, if there is a condition for greed to arise, it will. And so you're frozen for me now.
Yes.
Do you hear me still?
Yes, yes, there's no doubt that a person can attend a discussion just for reasons of self benefit, as it were, have an idea that they will have more awareness and be a more knowledgeable person, something like that. So it doesn't mean that there can't be wrong view when attending a discussion. But I think what Sarah's pointing to is a difference between a proper understanding of what are the conditions for the path to develop and what are not the conditions for the path to develop, according to the Buddha's explanation of it. That's the crux of the matter.
But the conditions for the path and attainment of understanding is we cannot control or make it. So it's anyway. It, how do you say it? Yeah, we cannot control. We cannot change it, we cannot look for it, it's conditioned. So yeah, even
have an idea about those. We can have an idea about what those conditions are.
Yeah, we can have an idea what we think is helpful on the path.
Mm-hmm. According to the Buddha's teaching.
According to the Buddha's teaching, yeah. But we cannot create it.
We can, absolutely, because one can, as we were saying earlier, one can attend a discussion, but there may not be anything useful said.
Yeah.
So
whatever
Yeah.
whatever I do is anyway conditioned, and wherever it leads to is also conditioned, you know. So yeah. So in that sense,
I think
it is not. Yeah.
Alberto mentioned the voice of another. There's a Pali expression for that. So one of the suttas says there are two conditions for developing the path, and I can't remember what the other one is, but one of them is the voice of another. And what's the second one? Do you know?
Spirits from the past.
One's own accumulations. So having developed understanding in the past, as I believe, is what it refers to.
And what about being truthful to the truth? Why do we
Yes.
come here and talk, discuss, listen to the others for the sake of understanding the truth, isn't it?
Yes, but there's no one that can be truthful to the truth.
Yes.
So
but we need to understand what is the truth, what is true. Otherwise, how can they be truthful to the truth? So there must be the understanding of what is the truth. Is it there now, or we have to look for it somewhere, sometime? So the truth is here now. But there's no understanding of the truth by oneself. No idea about what is seen and what is seeing right now. Is it there all the time or only very shortly? No idea at all. So we're talking about the truth to understand what is the true or the real moment of what is there as it is. Is seeing now real? See?
yes.
It is conditioned to arise. No one can make it arise. And at the moment of hearing, there is no seeing anymore. Is this true? Can it be directly experienced
Yes.
by ignorance or wanting or wishing or trying to concentrate on it? The best thing in life, among all the conditioned realities arising and falling away, is understanding the truth. And understanding is quite different from ignorance. So the word which means enlighten is experience the truth now directly as it is. And the enlightened one who directly experienced the whole truth of everything, no exception at all, thought about seeing right now, hearing, smelling, touching, whatever is there in life, in a moment, from moment to moment. Is it true?
Mm-hmm.
A moment of seeing, a moment of hearing, a moment of thinking. And what is the understanding of that which is true? What is seeing? What is hearing? Can it be directly known or experienced? And seeing is not that which is seen. And now, there is that which is seen and the seeing. No understanding of either one at all. But it's there by conditions and gone. Is it true? And can this truth be realized? Because it's so true now. But when there's no understanding at all, that what is seeing in truth?
Mm-hmm.
See, can we sit and try to think out what is it? Impossible. But hearing the word of truth about the truth of it, seeing cannot arise at all without conditions. without the eye base and that which impinges on it, can they be seen? And to realize the truth has to be this moment when it's there, because it's not always there, just very shortly, unknowingly that it's gone at moment of hearing and thinking. Can all this truth be directly experienced? Because it's there now. We don't have to go and find the truth somewhere else. It's here and now. So how can there be the understanding of the truth right now? If not, there can never be the understanding of any moment at all. The moment of seeing is not just now. There will be more moments of seeing, hearing, thinking again and again, unknown of its truth. That's why when there is a little understanding of the truth from now, it can develop by thinking about it when it's strong enough, firm enough, not to think about the other things, but think about the truth of what is there now, seeing anytime. So is seeing permanent? When, where, here, and now. No need to go anywhere at all to understand the truth. But if one goes to somewhere, try to have right understanding, can it condition understanding by oneself trying to experiencing? But now, the moment of letting go ignorance about seeing gradually, even it's not directly experienced yet, but since when the understanding develops on and on, firmer and firmer, it condition moment of just thinking about seeing or thinking about heart touch now, but understanding it directly at moment of touching it, because the accumulation of understanding of the truth of what is there, different ones, little by little, unexpectedly, even now. What would be next is unexpected. Everything. So the moment of understanding what is there as now directly can be when it's strong enough not to think about other things, or not just to try to think over it so hard to gain understanding. It's impossible. But now, who knows? All dhammas, citta and citasikas arising, performing the function. Even right now, when there is understanding, there must be wise considering of what is heard in order to understand that it's so true, that it's so real, but it's not known. When there's no hearing of thinking about the truth of it. That's why we come with their conditions to know that this is the only way to have more understanding and less ignorance and wrong view about taking it for I. Not just in this life, long time ago, accumulated to take it instantly when it's there as something all the time. That's why we talk about the nimitta and concept and what is there in life to understand what is true. Permanent impermanency. Nothing is permanent. And that can be known because it now appears and disappears. But the arising and falling away does not show up because it's covered by the rapidity of the succession of moment to moment of experiencing different objects by conditions. So understanding what is what will gradually let go the idea of I think, I like, I dislike, I'm hungry, I'm happy, and so on, little by little. Anatta, no expectation. How much understanding is there now? Impossible to know. But it's there by conditions from moment to moment, gradually. Otherwise, it cannot be anatta. But everything is anatta. When time comes to be hungry, you cannot avoid being hungry. When time comes to think about this, it's there already. Each word now, conditioned. If I haven't heard about Dhamma or Rupa and Nama, how can it be there as object of thought, of thinking? Everything is conditioned. Without understanding the conditions of what arises and falls away, there must be the idea of it's so permanent. It's there. 5 minutes ago and now the same in this room. See? But in truth, no room. If there's no idea about the shape and form which appears at moment of seeing at all. Just develop the understanding of the truth, whether it's true or not. It's not to believe or just to believe, but to understand whether it's true or not. Being truthful to the truth. Otherwise, the truth cannot be known at all because it's there now so true, arising and falling away all the time. Even the idea of going somewhere, doing something, what for? No understanding. Buddha didn't tell anyone to go anywhere at all. Just to understand, no matter where.
But I think also it's a definition question, because for me, meditation is in the here and now. It's not, you don't have to go anywhere to
But
do something.
First of all, what is meditation?
How do you say that? It's just.
Is it you?
No.
So what is it?
It is actually the how do you say in English, the present moment.
Okay.
It's the realities in the present moment. Okay. So it's hearing, it's seeing, it's smelling, it's tasting.
But what is there in a moment?
A lot.
Okay, just one at a time.
Now there is it's hearing. Hearing.
What is hearing?
It's what is hearing? It is a process. It is
hearing.
Sound. The object is sound.
A moment of hearing. What about hearing, not sound? Just what is hearing?
How do you explain that? It is.
This is to understand the truth.
It's a mental process, hearing.
Meditation, that is not just to recite any word or try to do anything, but it's the development of considering the truth of what is there, little by little, because it's there right then, so it can be known. No expectation for the past or the future at all, because now it can be known. When it's not there, it cannot be known. So there is hearing right now, and right understanding is at moment of understand the hearing, because there is hearing. So what is it? The development of understanding to be truthful to the truth of hearing.
Depending if it's really the moment, but it is basically a sense door process.
You think a process, but what about?
No, I'm trying to explain it because I don't know how to say it.
There is hearing, and we think a process.
The thinking is about the process, yeah.
But
it's not
we
hearing.
are talking about just one reality. Hearing is a reality, not other reality. So what is the reality of hearing? Did Buddha say anything about it? Did Buddha enlighten the truth of hearing? And what did he taught after his enlightenment about hearing? For what? To be known, to be studied, to realize the truth of it, to directly experience it in order to let go wrong understanding, ignorance, and attachment to it as I hear all the time. No one can let go the idea of I hear when there's no understanding of hearing.
But if I'm you ask me what is hearing, and if I'm trying to explain, then of course it will be in conceptual language. Of course, because I cannot explain it differently.
But what did Buddha say about hearing? Not your own thought or my thought, but his word, the enlightened one. What did he say about hearing, the truth of hearing? What is it?
It's a Dhamma.
Word, Dhamma.
Yeah, so how can you give words?
Different Dhammas. We just talk about one Dhamma at a time to understand one by one, to understand Dhamma. If we don't understand Dhamma one by one, how can there be the understanding of all Dhammas are anatta?
Can I ask something?
Please.
Because how can I, if I get a question and I'm trying to answer it, but I have conceptual words, and that's, so I would love, how would you say it?
Okay. You know you. Do you know Buddha?
I no, I don't know. No.
Have you heard about the word Buddha?
Yes.
What is the meaning of Buddha?
Enlightened one.
Realizing the truth. Right now, anytime, the truth cannot be changed at all. Right? So what did he say about hearing? The enlightened one. What did he say about hearing?
Can you tell me? Because I don't know literally what he said about it.
It's real. Hearing is real.
Yeah.
Not imagination. But
yeah.
Hearing hears. No one hears.
Mm-hmm.
So what is hearing? Experiencing sound.
Mm-hmm.
That which can impinge on the ear base only.
Mm-hmm.
The world in a moment is hearing and then gone.
Mm-hmm.
Broken all the time. Not permanent at all. Each one arises in false way. Breaking world. So is that true?
Yeah.
Hearing is not me. Hearing is not me. Hearing is a reality which experiences sound. No need to say whether it's sound or what, but it's that which can be heard by hearing only. Only.
Mm-hmm.
Can thinking hear? Can seeing hear? So at moment of hearing is just a moment in lifetime or in life, never to arise again. Can it be known from the very beginning that it's not anyone? It's a reality which can experience just sound. Can anyone condition or make hearing arise? Impossible. That's why no matter what kind of reality, not just hearing, is conditioned by its proper conditions to just arise because it's conditioned to arise. It hasn't arisen and then gone instantly. Is that true? Here, not there. So there can be the understanding of hearing even right now, or on the street, in the car, anytime when it's there, until there's no idea that it's I, because it's just a reality which is conditioned to arise. If it doesn't arise, no sound heard at all. Only that from birth to death. It can be known anytime when we read about the truth and consider it. And we are talking about the truth of it, but it's not another higher level of understanding the truth. But it begins to understand what is the world, what is taken for I of my friend or everything. In truth, it's just different realities, conditioned realities. One can experience an object, the other cannot. It's just hard. It doesn't know who touched it or talk badly about it. See? Because no experiencing, it cannot experience anything. That's why what we take for people and thing or living being, animal, elephant, and seeing is seeing. That is the absolute truth. To let go the ideas, the place, meditation center. What is it? The answer can answer everything when it's so true. In truth, only one moment at a time. Can there be the whole world full of mountain, water, street, home, houses? Impossible. So what is the absolute truth? One moment. Never to be together 10 or 1,000 moments together at all. That's why this is the absolute truth. And without hearing and considering, can there be more understanding of even just hearing now?
No.
That's why what can be known, whatever in life, not just hearing, seeing, thinking, smelling, tasting, touching, pleasant feeling and present feeling, everything are real, but only very shortly from life to life, never arise again. This is samsara. We think that we are in this room and then we go somewhere, different countries, but in truth, only seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, 6 worlds only. Where are we? Where are my house? And where is the table? Nothing. Only in dream, taking it as permanent thing. But in truth, nothing is permanent at all. Very shortly arising and falling away. And that is the Four Noble Truths. 12 rounds, the confidence, the firm understanding of the first Noble Truth, second, third, and fourth. They are all very subtle. So the path leading to understand the truth is so subtle, so natural, because it's just like now. Any moment of understanding leads to realize the truth. But it's quite a long, long time.
And the other thing the Buddha said about hearing is that it is to be fully understood. And in fact, he gave a list, if you like, of the things that are to be fully understood. The ear, sound, hearing, the feeling that arises, and so on. And that sutta, particular sutta, begins with the eye, visible object, and seeing, and the feeling that arises there. So these are the realities that are to be understood. And they appear now, and they can be understood. The conditions for their understanding are reflecting on what the Buddha said about the realities, because his teaching is a description of the way things are. He was enlightened to the way things are in truth and reality. And when he explained, when he taught to his listeners, he explained what that truth and reality is. His teaching is not of how to become enlightened, how to develop understanding, but what needs to be understood.
Mm-hmm.
And the main point that I think Ajahn was emphasizing was that that understanding, awareness and understanding, can arise of its own conditions. Unexpectedly was the word she used. And so let's consider what that would be if we're talking about awareness and understanding that occurs without any wishing on the part of the individual, or without any effort in the sense of the conventional sense of undertaking a practice of some kind, not referring specifically to one kind of practice or another, just the general idea that it's about doing something in order to understanding to occur. It's because it's really about just understanding the description given by the Buddha.
But we often talk about, but now I forget the English word, about, how do you say, it's just simple, that we are not thinking, but we are, please help me with the English. We are just considering, we're considering, but even considering you can call a practice, you know, because
we know that what was referred to when considering is mentioned or reflecting is not doing something as a practice. It's something that happens again. For example,
and it is in that sense the same as what we like to call meditation. It happens, you know, being present in the moment. Sometimes you are, sometimes you are not. So in that sense, it is, of course, it's conditioned like it is.
But there can be, the difference is this, there can be, you can find yourself reflecting on the Dhamma while washing the dishes, for example, right? There's no idea of doing something for the purpose of reflecting.
I can have sometimes I can see myself sometimes really there's greed and wanting in that moment of wanting to understand, and that's not the right path, I know, but
there is
it's there sometimes
between the reflection that occurs reflexively and automatically, unguided, undirected, and the idea of doing something specific in order for that to happen.
But also there are moments of there is manasikara or there's sati, you know, and also that is something happening. It's not like, and there are moments that like, oh, I should be more, you know, of course there are two there, I'm human. But it is there, you understand, there it can be both. They're both conditioned, and whatever, if there is one of the unwholesome roots in there, both are not right or wholesome path.
Of course. So one is not saying that there is a way of not having any unwholesome moments, but the thinking that occurs, the reflection that occurs on the Dhamma, unguided, if you like, can be kusala, can't it? Yeah, and can condition awareness and understanding.
Also.
Right.
And also it can also condition some greed, you know, wanting to understand more. And
well, because there's the accumulated tendency, but it's not the point of that. If when there's reflection on the Dhamma, there may be greed. Of course, there's
true. No.
Too, but
yeah,
the only question is, according to the Buddha's teaching, whether the awareness and understanding can be conditioned by some kind of practice, or whether what the Buddha explained was the arising of awareness and understanding by virtue of an interest in having heard his explanation of the way things are and reflecting upon it.
Thank you.
If we don't talk about just one word or one reality at a time, can there be the understanding of it enough to let go the idea of self or something in it? That's why it's better to talk just about one word at a time, for understanding to develop so deeply that it can be directly experienced. Now it's just hearing about the truth of it, but not yet directly understand the truth now of whatever is there arising and falling away by way of nimitta. See, each word should be understood. Is there any place now? Is that this room?
Not on an absolute level, no.
See, in order to understand just one reality at a time. So what is meant by bhavana in Pali? Bhavana.
Bhavana is like it's a development, right? Bhavana.
What is the meaning of development?
It's a lot of moments.
At once or little by little?
No, little by little, moment by moment.
If there's no hearing about hearing now, is there any interest to understand hearing?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Moment of hearing about hearing. Is there any interest to understand hearing? Is there interest to understand hearing?
Yes, but that's a different moment.
Now, if you didn't talk about it, it's the moment of being interested to understand hearing.
Yes. Because I am a curious person and I studied social sciences.
Reality at a time, deeper, to see whether there is understanding enough to know that it's known just a little more.
Thank you.
I think the point, Carmen, is like you said before, there can be attachment here, there can be attachment there, anywhere. But the idea of doing something like we were discussing before is so deeply rooted. And the idea that of having understanding, having awareness for oneself, getting something from the development is so deeply rooted that unless one hears about different realities, such as hearing, or it could be seeing, or it could be sound, any reality, it's impossible to let go of those ideas of I doing something or getting something for me from the teachings, because those ideas of me and doing are very, very deeply rooted. So that's why there has to be the very careful considering of one reality at a time in order for the chanda that we were discussing with Alan to become an enlightenment factor. It has to be the interest in just understanding Dhamma for the sake of Dhamma, not to get anything, not for my benefit, not for me to develop bhavana or anything else, but just for the sake of understanding what life is at this moment, seeing now, hearing now, thinking now, and without hearing and considering a lot of detail about realities and reflecting a lot, it's impossible to understand the truth about dhammas as anatta. So it's true there can be lobha anywhere. It's true there can be understanding anywhere. It's true there can be wise considering anywhere, but without the careful reflection about the nature of different dhammas, it's not going to develop. It's not going to arise.
And that is in a sense a bit tricky, because if we say, without the detailed consideration, so there is the I popping up, thinking I have to do. That's so. Even these moments, they're coming and going. There are conditions, the moments of deep consideration. We cannot, how do you say that? Create them or what we talked about with Jonathan just a moment ago. To sit for it, but it is when it is conditioned.
So
these
let's
moments.
come back to hearing at this moment, which Ajahn was asking about. Can anyone make hearing arise?
No.
Can anyone stop hearing from falling away? Can anyone make hearing hear sound or stop hearing from hearing sound? Because hearing is conditioned when so many different conditions are in place, when sound is impinged on ear sense, and when it's time for karma to bring its result, and when the previous citta has fallen away, so many conditions, hearing just arises and hears the sound. And it's the same with the moment of wise or unwise thinking now. The wise thinking isn't because I'm trying to think wisely. When the conditions for wise thinking, wise reflection, it arises and it accumulates, but not by anything that is done at all. No one there at all. But without considering, without this wise consideration about these different realities, it will always be the idea of I doing something, I thinking wisely, I am hearing, and so on. So it is tricky, and this is what is meant by subtle. Dhammas are subtle. But little by little, as you mentioned, by considering the nature of reality at this very moment, alobha now, confusion now, seeing now, hearing now, the wise considering and the understanding develops naturally. Bhavana develops without anything done by an imaginary I at all. But like you say, it's deep and it's subtle and it's tricky.
And when we talk about Itthipada, say, chanda, not just to hear about the story or the meaning of it, but is that chanda to understand hearing right now? Itthipada.
Yes. But I don't know what Itthipada is.
To understand hearing. Hearing cannot be directly realized at all. That's why even the term Itthipada, chanda to what? See, to understand seeing and hearing. In order to realize the truth, the Four Noble Truths. So it's not just in the book, it's not just the word, to understand the meaning of chanda. Interest to develop understanding of the truth of what is there now. For Alan. Chanda.
And Ajahn is asking you about Chandana. What is their interest in now? maybe. Did you hear? Sorry. Alan, Ajahn is asking you about Chanda now. What is their interest in now? As Ipada.
Lots of different things. Chanda is something which changes all the time. It changes from being interested to having a cup of coffee or to be interested in listening to all the time, just changing. So you cannot be pinpointed, but one knows that without Chanda, to understand hearing and seeing and thinking, I wouldn't be listening. So there is Chanda there, but I don't understand that reality as it is yet. But I'm confident that it can develop.
Alan, can we say that our interest at this point is in hearing the story of Dhamma, but not Itipada as in understanding the Dhamma which appears now?
Sometimes, but no, I think that there is interest to understand the reality now, because I've heard a lot and I understand that the story of reality is not reality itself. So no, there is the interest to understand the reality which is now, but by conditions. It's not always there, as you say. Sometimes the interest is in the story, in the details, and sometimes it's just not there at all, by conditions. So no one, even though we listen to the discussion now, it's not there all the time. Chanda interested to understand reality isn't always there. It's just change. It's only there for a brief moment and then gone, and then a different Chanda arises. So it's just a matter of understanding, being truthful to the truth. We're interested sometimes, we're not interested at other times, but Chanda has to be interested in the reality, not just the story of it. Yes.
I mean, I wanted to use me, that it's with me, but then I just give a general, ask you in general. But actually what I meant, because that's what I noticed, that I'm more interested in hearing the stories of Dhamma most of the time. But Dhammas are arising and falling away. No interest in understanding those Dhammas that are presently arising and falling away.
Yes, and I think that that's true for everybody, that actually we are interested in the stories most of the time, but gradually we can learn that that is not the interest that the Buddha's talking about. It's the interest to know the truth of the reality which is now. So yes, we need those constant reminders to be interested in reality, not just the story of reality. But I think it's a good test, because often we listen or we read about Buddhism, and the test at the end of it is, are those words, are they pointing towards the reality of now? Because actually so much of what we read isn't. The words are just the sort of academic discussion of Buddhism, but they're not about what is now. And therefore it's just the story, and it's not pariyatti. So to be pariyatti, the intellectual understanding, it has to be words which help to pinpoint what reality is there now.
The path is so very subtle. Who knows that at the moment of understanding this, it's Chanda to realize the truth of seeing and hearing and everything, little by little, gradually, unknown, until time comes and direct awareness is there with understanding. There can be the understanding that we have followed the path through somewhere, somehow, little by little.
Thank you, Ajahn. I think that it's time we finish, so there will be another discussion at the same time tomorrow if anyone